And a pleasant good morning, and we welcome you to today's edition of Island Tea. It is the 20th day of the 8th month of the year. I think that's how Jamster preferred to say the date. Yeah, he's getting everything sorted out while we prepare for today. Good morning, AZ. Good morning to everyone that's listening to us in the Federation, in the regional diaspora, and in the international diaspora. Good morning, Cleo. Good morning, Skeeter Mills. Good morning, Dennis. Good morning, Javon. Good morning, Miss Brisbane. Good morning, Miss Wall. Good morning, Wycliffe. I'm trying to remember everybody's names today. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are we doing this morning? Hey, sir. How are you? Okay. And Jamster, you ready for me? Not just yet? Okay. So, as usual, I don't know. When I think I put my cellular phone in my bag, I don't have it in my bag. So, what's on your mind, Jamster? What's popping? Listen, before we go ahead, I kind of got to look at snippets. Of the campaign last night, and I see Hillary endorse Kamala as the 40. She said when she take the oath of allegiance and becomes the 47th president of the United States of America. And I really think she has a fighting chance. Her audience was loud last night. The name of the opposition came up a couple times, but we know who will win. I'm happy that
I wouldn't like to be Donald Trump right now.
Oh?
I wouldn't like to be Donald Trump right now.
He's not gonna win.
I'm telling you, right? Like last night, this guy was the target of like some of the, let me tell you, the choicest zingers and rhetorical barbs. Let me tell you, it was chef's kiss.
Yeah, as Hillary said, that's the first president with how many felonies he has? I don't want to say the wrong amount.
34,
30 something.
Like 30,
yeah, but she said that's
like
the first person running for president with so many felonies.
Oh, it's good to see the Democrats growing a spine and really taking it to people. Because you can be savage without going low.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I hope
all you have to do is tell the truth.
Yeah.
You know?
But did you see the diversity of the audience last night, though?
Yeah, that's something you always notice.
Yeah, and the women were out in their numbers because they're fighting for their rights.
I mean,
right.
You see a Republican convention is like it's like an alabaster convention, you know?
Yeah, it was filled with energy, rightfully so, and the speakers, dynamic speakers. And when President Biden stepped on the stage, and it was, "Thank you, Joe."
I didn't get to see all of that.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, it was nice. He did a good speech too.
Even former Senator of State Hillary Clinton, when she came on, the applause was.
I don't think she was expected. That was a nice little surprise for everybody.
No, we knew ahead of time.
No, the people knew.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, everybody knew?
They would know
well, they acted surprised to me, so I was
No, Jamsa, she's talking about the applause that Hillary received.
Yeah, the rousing.
I thought she said
on the stage.
Oh,
yeah.
She didn't expect to get
I was shocked. Everybody was happy to see her last night.
Yeah, it was, all she had to do, all she could say was, thank you. The applause was literally deafening. You could see that she was trying to maintain her composure, just saying thank you and attempting to speak, but she didn't want to be overpowered. But then at the same time, you want to welcome the applause. In fact, that has been maybe the first time that I have seen her gotten so much applause.
That's why I thought it was a surprise. Like, like how some of the artists go around the country and then they bring out a particular artist and then the crowd goes wild. I thought that was the case.
Yes.
Because I was doing some dishes when I saw that.
So, in fact, the Democrats, their base is energized. We know that the election is in November. Some persons are saying that it's still going to be a close election based on the fact that there's the Electoral College and that, the popular vote doesn't win the election. But the energy is definitely where the Democrats are. And there's a message that is being portrayed, one of joy, and one team of joy, the other team of hate. And then, the Trump's best bet is to focus strictly on the issues of the economy, strictly on the issue of border control and immigration. And there are some persons, and you see the media who are saying
freedom and choice as far as reproductive rights.
No, that's for I said Trump's best bet.
Oh, Trump, you said.
Yeah, that's what I said. Trump's best bet is if you focus on the economy and border. And some persons are saying that he comes off rail and goes into attack rather than keeping focus on the issue.
A pit bull comes off rail when it's threatening to bite you, right? I mean, what does that even mean? He comes off rail in a bad way. You can come off rail in a good way. Like if a pretty girl wants to kiss you or something. That's,
ain't nobody want to kiss Trump. Well, maybe just his wife. Nobody else. So Azad, we didn't see you yesterday, but then we realized where you were, and I see something here on the WINNFM page.
And I saw the cryptic message, right? So I was like, oh Lord. So I said, I hope it's nothing serious. So because I was assuming, when you get a cryptic message, you assume the worst.
Yes, we did. Well, as indicated, as persons saw, we demonstrated in front of government headquarters. We then made our way eventually to 4th Street. We had signs. My sign read, government is too silent. I said, leadership takes no vacation. And in fact, we thought it best. And persons might be asking, what are we doing? Why were we on the street? We felt that the government, based on the fact that there are a number of homicides, we felt that the government was far too silent as it relates to the situation. You see, directly after, I saw a press release from SKNIS that read that there was some interaction between the Prime Minister and the Commissioner of Police. And so if we were to realize the dates, today is what, the 20th?
Yep.
In the Prime Minister's first address, he indicated, in the letter for leave, he said that he will be on leave until August 21st. August 21st. Oh. August 21st. My apologies. August 21st. And so that meeting, the press release was issued on the 19th. If that meeting was conducted on the 19th, it shows that he came back even sooner. And so that's important. So persons, if you have a voice, it's important for you to use that voice, especially in our from our point of view, that the government is far too silent on the issue of crime. And that is the reason, basically, why we took to the streets. We feel that the government is far too silent.
And I also see there's an article here it's written by Yolanda Weeks, and it says, St. Kitts and Nevis WINNFM, members of the opposition, members of the opposition's, the People's Action Movement, PAM, led by party leader Natasha Shani Gray Brooks, held a peaceful demonstration outside government headquarters in Bastille. At the protest held on Monday morning, August 19th, the PAM representative said the government is far too quiet on gun-related incidents that have been committed in the country. Brooks acknowledged that a whole societal approach is needed to tackle the violent crime issue, but added the government has its part to play too. She said, and quote, "When you say that you swear to serve and protect and uphold the Constitution, you must mean it in every regard and do what you have to do. Do what is necessary. It is time that we as a nation come out on the streets and ask our government to take action to protect our nation. Our streets must be safe and secure. Our people must feel that when they go home at night, they are safe in the protection of their homes. In our business community, there are too many robberies. Have they met these businessmen and women to ask them what is in place or what can be done to help alleviate the problem? The government needs to act on your behalf and act now. Stand in solidarity with our citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis," end quote. Brooks was supported by the deputy political leader of PAM, Azad Gums, and former leader Sean Richards. The protest was streamed live on social media and received attention from some members of the general public. In comments, some individuals supported the demonstration while others shared that the People's Action Movement is using the crime and violence issue as a political football and has not shared any promising solution to help curb the problem. While the protests was ongoing, Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew was in a meeting with the Commissioner of Police, James Sutton, to discuss urgent matters of national security in St. Kitts and Nevis. Though penalties have been revised and more stringent laws were put in place alongside the Elevate and other social intervention programs, the killings continue to affect the Sister Isles. There have been 24 homicides committed in just over 33 weeks. So it's 24 and not 25. Alrighty. Yeah, and I see Antigua too. Mr. Brown ain't playing with nobody.
But I saw the 2 stories. I haven't read them yet, but I realized someone was pointing out the contrast between the church,
The Evangelical Association in Antigua
versus here.
Ours, yeah.
Quiet. Antigua is being very vocal, and here is being quiet.
But you know, there was an article before asking where is the Evangelical Society in Antigua.
Okay.
Yeah. So the same thing that's being done here, that was done over there. But I guess they're speaking up now. And then, as the minister said, if you come with firepower, we're coming with firepower too. You can't expect to shoot after all law-abiding citizens, and they get killed, and you're still alive. So he says we're not playing with you. And I like the fact that he says we know who you are, and we will come and get you.
We see the difference between us and Antigua. Antigans have never been shrinking violets, I won't say what we are. You could figure it out. You could figure it out from what I just said. They've never been shrinking violets. No. I mean, when
I didn't realize Antigua had gangs like that. And
yeah,
as he said, there are gangs in his area. And I lived in the area. Well, the Prime Minister eventually moved in where I live in Hodges Bay. So I'm shocked. I didn't know there were gangs about that place. I'd be like, boy, everything happened for a reason, you know.
I still question this whole thing about St. Kitts being the
murder capital.
The catalyst for uprisings, and I'm sorry, some people are not gonna like this, but Buckley's was the please.
You're saying that we are far too quiet on issues that affect us.
You are too kind. Quiet is not the word I would use.
Because as I always say, conditions don't protest.
I mean,
and I know they're going to get me, but that's true.
The
only time I saw y'all protest was when y'all were trying to get out the other government. I was like, what?
Which one?
I'm proud of them. When they had the mixed rally with both Labour and PAM and...
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I think you mean
I don't remember.
Prior to 2015, when...
No, just recent, yo. Remember when Mr. DuPont and the guy with the red chain were in the rally? You remember that?
That's
recent.
No,
not recent, but 2 years ago.
I remember what you're speaking about. Okay, go ahead. We have a caller.
Caller, go ahead. You're live on Island T. Good morning.
Good morning to everybody.
Good morning, Greg.
Hi, good morning, Gregory.
Yes, greetings in Jesus' name.
Greg, 2 minutes today, okay? Somebody else wants to call in.
Please address the topic.
2 minutes is too long. A minute.
And address the topic that we have on the floor.
A minute.
You all brought up 2 topics.
Yes, so address...
Okay, economy of words, Greg. Let's go.
Let's go.
Okay, number 1. Jamster, I thought you said you were against abortion, but I don't know, maybe the evil, wicked Democrats have probably convinced you that
I am pro-choice. There's a difference. There's a difference. It doesn't mean...
pro-choice?
No.
Pro-choice
it means that...
abortion,
it means that...
which is murder.
Well, no. It means that given the circumstances, I would opt for an abortion, or I would endorse an abortion. I'm not... It doesn't mean that I just come out hardcore, abortions, no matter what. For abortions, no matter what. Come on.
Okay, Gregory, so now what's your second point?
Remember, you are limiting me, eh?
Yeah, so what your second is?
Just remember, being pro-choice, but saying you're not really for abortion is like being for slavery, but you're not really for slavery. All of them are evil and wicked, and so because they go against the Bible.
Okay, well that's his opinion, Gregory. Well, that's yours as well.
That's what the Bible teaches. That's what the Bible teaches.
What's the next thing?
And maybe y'all feel that your opinion equal to God. Secondly, concerning violence and that sort of stuff and gun crimes and stuff. to tell me that I cannot own a gun, the most effective means of self-defense, is to tell me I have no right to life.
But who told you
Because
couldn't
if
own
I
a gun, Gregory? Isn't it? Don't people have to be screened before they can own a licensed firearm, even in the U.S., where guns
Gregory,
are
there are laws.
allowed?
There are laws that would allow you to own a firearm, but
Just
you
gonna
must
apply.
you must
Yeah.
go through the
Most
necessary
people, the
application.
government tell no. Most people, the government say no, you
So,
cannot own a
what
firearm,
are you-
which is telling
so-
them they don't have a right to life.
You're suggesting that persons, just like they would go down and buy KFC, they should be able to have the opportunity to go and just
To go and just get a gun.
get a gun.
Because that is the Bible way to do things,
Uh-uh.
even with guns. Tell me where in the Bible can you find the government have the authority from God to
But where in the
put up
Bible
any
says that
danger from
to be
defending
armed is the correct thing, Greg?
But
For
Gregory-
everybody. Greg, we had this discussion yesterday.
Yeah.
This doesn't make sense, Greg.
Gregory, but
Any-
if you
any-
use
if
the
you tell
argument
anybody
about the
they cannot
Bible,
own a
Gregory, there are a
gun,
number of things
you're
that we
telling
have
them they have no
now.
right to life.
There are a number of things that we have now that are not mentioned in the Bible. We have technology that's
God,
not mentioned in the
there's nothing
Bible.
We have now that God did not know of, and the Bible is God's word. God is the ultimate.
And we're not
author
arguing
of
that
the
at
Bible.
all because we all know that.
So the
Greg.
Bible specifically,
When God
so
wanted
the
guns
Bible
to be banned,
specifically
he would have
spoke
put
to
it in the
guns.
Bible.
Did the Bible specifically spoke and mentioned guns?
Not specifically.
Exactly.
Okay.
So,
And
Greg,
therefore-
why?
and
I told you
therefore
Jesus
God,
will get you,
wanted
you
to be
know.
banned.
No.
Because hold on, the Bible said the Bible said always until Christ come back, we are not to ever go beyond what is written in the Bible.
And so,
to
Gregory,
ban
what
guns,
what are what are
it's
what
like
are
to
you
go beyond What
using?
is written in the Bible?
Okay, before we go on, because we could go back and forth. What are you using to support your argument? What line in the Bible, what scripture in the Bible are you using to support that argument?
The line in the Bible is that God lays out the authorities and duties of government, and there is nowhere you could find.
Are you
in
paraphrasing?
any of them.
Remember the
Well,
Lord said,
for
don't add or
example-
take away, you know.
Are you
Okay,
paraphrasing?
Okay, for example.
Give me
for
the
example.
scripture. Give me the direct scripture that supports your point.
Definitely. For example, in Matthew chapter 20, for example, and in other places that say, in everything we do, we have to glorify God and carry out His great commission. That is the first duties of government, the church, everybody.
So where does that
We asking
fall?
about
We're
the
talking
guns.
about the guns, Gregory. Let's be specific.
Yeah.
Yes,
the guns,
second duty
Gregory.
of government. The second duty of government in Romans chapter 13, verses 1 to 7, said government is to approve of doers of good, according to the Bible.
So
But
Gregory,
everybody doesn't have good intentions, Gregory.
Gregory,
Gregory, you still not.
Tartensio. Wait there. Gregory,
have not finished.
Gregory, what you have said and what you have mentioned so far to me is wide for interpretation. There's nothing specific.
Hold on, let me finish the second part. And secondly, that same passage says, the government is to punish doers of evil based upon what the Bible says evil and how it is to be punished.
But Gregory, in none of
Okay.
what you mentioned
Guns doesn't come
specifically talk about the right to bear guns, to own a gun.
Yeah,
No,
to
nothing
bear
that you
arms.
Yes, so
mentioned.
because guns does not come in among any of them. Therefore, the government has no right, according to the Bible, to be banning
But
guns.
Gregory, nothing that you have said have even indicated that there is a right given to in the Bible that says we should have weapons that protect us.
But having a right to life mean that you also have.
But people
the
have
right
guns
to
and
defend-
sometimes they lose their
Yeah,
lives,
because of
Gregory.
self-defense.
People have guns for protection in
Hold
the
on.
U.S. and
So
sometimes they
Gregory,
lose their lives.
you're saying a right to
Guns are
life.
used more for preventing
Gregory.
crime than
Gregory.
guns are used more for protecting life than crime.
Okay, Gregory.
Gregory, wait.
Gregory?
You're saying a right to life equates to a right to own a gun. That's what you're saying?
Any means of self-defense, including but above all else, the Bible does not give government their right to ban guns.
Okay, Gregory.
But the
thanks for your
Bible doesn't
contribution.
mention, when you say right to life, that is very broad and it doesn't clearly mention or point to
The
the right to
preservation
have a
of life.
gun.
Okay, Gregory. Gregory, you can call back
Yeah.
after the medical program.
Yeah.
We want to take some more
Yeah.
calls. All right.
I want to disagree with him there. I think that's a wide interpretation. He spoke about the right to life, but I don't think that when one talks about the right to life, it talks about the protection of life, but it doesn't specifically mean that one has a right from what he's saying directly to own a gun. You understand? I don't.
I mean, and I would have
I think
loved
it's
to
kind of
hear.
wide.
Yeah, I would have loved to hear the scripture that
Says
contextually encapsulates.
Even if it mentioned being armed or having the right to be armed or something like that,
Yeah.
I thought it was going somewhere like that. But Gregory is.
But we had this argument yesterday. Imagine everybody comes to apply for a gun, and you give somebody who is not mentally stable, and they just walk up in some place and just decide to start shooting people down. Then what are we gonna say?
Or you give the opportunity for somebody who has a violent temper, who's prone to violence, who you know is prone to violence, and you just apply and you allow them to have a gun.
Yeah, and then they just walk up and just done you like that. That's not just that's not right.
Gregory, we have to apply some logic and practicality.
Exactly. That's why everybody has to be screened that wants a gun, and they have to make sure you can never make sure you're giving the gun to the right people, because you don't know, as humans, people
and
change their minds.
the reason why you
Gregory.
license gun is for identification.
Gregory.
If something is used and a gun has been used, then you could identify clearly the owner of the gun and link it.
Exactly.
Gregory,
To say the
just
gun
want-
belonged to Cotton, say it belonged to Jam, so it belonged to Azad. The bullets that were fired from that said gun.
So it's all
He
about
just
being
wants to be. He just wants to be the resident libertarian here and contrarian. Like just go against everything.
Gregory ought to know that the
And-
world is not being controlled by God. God is just looking over his people. Gregory should
He
know who
allows
the master
God
of this.
allows stuff to
Exactly.
happen.
So he ought to know who the master of this wicked world is.
But guys,
But he acts like he doesn't.
No, Gregory said before, and we all were here when Gregory said it. Gregory said that God puts thoughts in our minds and we act upon it, and those thoughts are from God. And
So God tell us to go shoot up some people.
Gregory said that's what he believes.
I tell Gregory Jesus gonna get him, and I'm very serious about that. Let him continue to mess with God. That's not making any sense.
Cartense said it is such a
No, but he can't do that.
compassionate way.
You think the Lord gonna tell me you to go shoot up somebody? As that
Yes.
make any sense?
That makes no sense.
The Lord wants
Hey.
nothing but good for all of us. He will not tell us to do bad. He gives us free will. So he hope that we make the right decision. So if
Yes.
I feel bad at day and I say, okay, I'm gonna do this, he gonna come, Cottontail, you know that ain't right. And he gonna try to put me along the bad thing block and say, just go shoot up that person. You have a right to bear arms, so just go shoot up that person.
Or he's saying that God puts in the minds of individual good and bad thoughts, and if he puts a bad thought in your mind, you act out on that, and he's going to punish you because he put that thing, but it's to his honor and his glory. That is what Gregory has said in the previous
No,
times.
that's not right.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, we have our medical talk at 8:30, but before I just want to, there has been some discussion, and I invited somebody to call in from the DLP. You know, in Barbados, as the article, and WINNFM did the story as well. And so in Barbados, there's a ousted DLP leader. It says, ousted DLP leader vows to continue the fight for new politics despite shock expulsion. So it says, in a move that has, and this from WINNFM, in a move that has sent shockwaves through Barbados' political landscape, the opposition Democratic Labour Party has expelled its president, Dr. Ronnie Yearwood, a General Secretary, Steve Blackett. So the decision announced early Friday morning followed a meeting of the DLP's General Council, which voted to remove both leaders based on recommendations from the party's disciplinary committee. The two had been suspended prior to expulsion. In an official statement, the DLP said the council considered the report and voted to expel both Yearwood and Blackett from the party with immediate effect. The expulsion marked a significant escalation in the internal conflict that has plagued the DLP in recent months.
Okay, so what did they do?
Well, we could hear more about it when the representative from the DLP comes on around 9
okay.
o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah, but imagine to expel your president and general secretary.
So this is the opposition party, right?
Yeah, the
I always get
opposition
mixed up,
party.
yeah.
Because they have two labor parties.
Yeah,
The
DLP and
Barbados,
DLP.
yeah, Barbados Labour Party and the Democratic Labour Party. Yeah, so it's something that we could consider. It says and here it says here further in the article, the party has struggled to regain its footing since devastating defeats in the 2018 and 2022 general elections, where it lost all 30 seats in the House of Assembly to Mayor Motley's Barbados Labour Party.
So the DLP is the original party, or is a spin-off from the BLP?
Well, I know.
I One of them came after the other. I guess
think
we
the
could look
BLP
at
came
it.
first.
Well,
Because I think Barrow.
BLP
Was the one who may have.
Who's the man?
DLP.
When Otto was around
Yeah.
with BLP, right?
BLP. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So maybe you're correct, Jams. Maybe it was BLP and then somebody left and started TLP.
Yeah,
because
way
they still
back
want to be labeled.
from vaguely what I remember reading.
Yeah.
That Errol Barrow was the one
Who started BLP?
DLP.
DLP, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I think. Yeah.
So the Democratic Labour Party was founded on April 27, 1955.
And when was the
Yeah.
BLP?
Hold on, let me see. It says the Democratic Labour Party is a political party in okay. So the introduction, let's look at, so 1955, DLP.
DLP,
Okay. These things
DLP.
go slowly when you.
Yep, when you want to get them fast.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's take a break now. We have our returning our other returning champion. AZ is the premier champion.
So the
Our other returning
BLP
champion.
was founded the 31st of March 1938. So
BLP is the
BLP
boss,
is
as you
first.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember reading that somewhere a long time ago.
Yes.
Started by because BLP was like Grantley Adams and so on.
The
and,
former of BLP was Sir Grantley Adams.
Yeah.
Jamsa,
Jamsa,
the
you're
historian.
going to get the A in this
Well,
course.
we learned all that. I learned all that in boys' school actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Oh, good
believe it or
stuff.
not.
Yeah.
So when I remember going to junior high and was being way ahead, it was like, but we learned this in grade 4.
Nice.
So okay, let's go to the break. We have the good doctor coming up next.
Yes, our medical talk.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Would you like to take on a new subject? Does your child need a little bit more help in accounting class? CAPE accounting classes will be held at the Bastyr Senior High School Class 4A3 Taylor's Range on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Classes start on the 27th of August. Fees will be discussed within the first session. Contact Talia Phipps at 665-2879.
Watch the trail of the insects stop when you spread them with pop. Flying, crawling, insects are falling when you spread them with pop. Nothing comes close to pop. Pop, the Caribbean brand. Pop, the #1 brand. Pop, the baddest in the land. Nothing comes close to pop. When the root bugs get in your way, pull out your pop and give them a spray. When you want insects to stop, nothing comes close to pop. Pop, the Caribbean brand. Get serious, get pop.
Hey shoppers, get ready for the most exciting sale of the year. It's Hosford's Furniture and Appliances extra major white sales event. Extra savings, extra happiness, major deals on major appliances. Enjoy a major 25% off on every major white appliance in store. 25% off on fridges, stoves, small appliances, washing machines, and so much more. And that's not all. Get double cash back on higher purchase of major appliances. Just imagine the savings on your dream kitchen and laundry essentials. Visit Hotspur's Furniture and Appliances today and take advantage of these major deals on major white appliances. Upgrade your home with top quality appliances and enjoy massive savings. Hurry in. These deals won't last long. The extra major white sales event at Hotspur's is happening now. Major deals, major discounts, extra savings, extra happiness. Only at Hotspur's Furniture and Appliances. Visit us today and experience the Hotspur's Furniture and Appliances difference. Sale ends soon. Don't miss out. Hosford's Furniture and Appliances. Your home, your style, your savings. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
Well, top of the morning to the good doctor. It's time for Weekly Dose.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
everyone. I'm doing pretty good.
You look that way. You look that way.
I've been out for a while.
I know. You said 2 weeks. It ended up being 4.
No.
Didn't it? Yes, because
Three.
wait, you were at 2 weeks vacation.
Yes.
Then we had a holiday.
Uh-huh.
And then we
yes,
didn't see you last week.
yes,
So
yes, yes, yes.
Uh-huh.
Well, as I told me, there was some kind of tropical storm.
So
about,
you batten down. all right. We forgive you. But we missed
It's
you.
good to be back.
Yeah,
I hope
good
you
to
the
have you.
summer's been going
It's like
good.
she was off planet. She doesn't
I
even
know.
know we had.
I know. Life is good over there. Life is good over there.
Yes.
And what
and
I do, I just keep my head down and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
I honestly do like that.
Yeah.
So sometimes I feel like I'm in my old world, doing my stuff, but trying to stay focused.
Indeed,
Okay.
indeed. But welcome back, Doctor.
Yep.
And we are happy to have you back on another program. And we know that we're going to be talking about common stomach problems.
Yep.
This is a very good topic.
And this seems like it's part 2. Dun, dun, dun.
Not really. That
Okay.
too was to signify in terms of editing.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
All
okay.
right.
So it's
Yes.
for editing.
So we're gonna
Sometimes you need
talk-
to mark where you
yes.
are.
Okay, no problem.
I do the same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Ooh.
Sometimes, yes. So we have our good doctor here, and we welcome her back, and we're going to talk about some common problems. We know that listeners out there are very enthused on hearing about this because stomach problems are very common. You know,
Yeah,
sometimes we
very
have
common.
upset stomach, we don't know what's about, and everything we label as gas.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
So the topic was chosen because it's a common condition or complaint when one is
Yes.
in their office. Patients are always complaining of having some upset stomach or something, as you say, reflux disease, discomfort, burning in their stomach, everything. As you said, sometimes they refer to it as gas. So it's also seen commonly in the emergency room as well too. It could also be an early onset of other complications or other diseases, like for example in the case of acute appendicitis. It can give you that initial discomfort and then the pain radiates down to the right lower quadrant. But so we're going to talk about some of the most common conditions or issues that affect the stomach, and those would include things like GERD or gastroesophageal reflux disease or reflux disease. You have things like indigestion. Everybody talks about that. What does it really mean? Gastroparesis. The word may seem big as that and difficult, but it speaks often to where there was like a paralysis in the stomach and the content of the stomach is detained for long periods. You know that every organ, every structure needs nerve to stimulate it, because the stomach itself has muscles, and if there is some irritation or something that affects the muscles that innervate the stomach, then the stomach is not going to function as normal. So that is what we call gastroparesis, and the food stays there much longer. You have things like gastritis. We've heard about this. We often said anytime in medicine you hear an itis, it's indicative of an infectious process, so keep that in mind. So there's an inflammation of the stomach,
Yes.
and things like peptic ulcer disease. So we'll try to get to as much as them. And some of the main symptoms ultimately to differentiate. Remember, this is not, our talk here is just to inform, but nothing beats having an in-person visit with your doctor. So let us not let these talks tell you, I'm going to stay home and treat myself because I've heard this, so I think this is what I have. So it is very careful. And before we start, I just wanted to point out and emphasize this to our patients and the listeners out there, because oftentimes persons are seen by a physician. And we had a couple weeks ago an incident, or they go to the hospital and they get a diagnosis. And they get so married to that diagnosis, and they do not get a second opinion. We've emphasized second opinions here. I also emphasize a return if your symptoms does not improve. We live in a small society, but in 2024, there are certain conditions that should not be missed. And if you're seen in a healthcare facility by a private physician, by any healthcare provider, and your symptoms don't improve and your condition worsens, it's not good enough to stay home. We encourage you always to seek another opinion, return to the center and say, Doc, I'm not feeling well. This thing hasn't improved. Can we take a second look at it? It's always important, okay? So let's get started.
So what's your stomach rule in digestion?
So the stomach's role in digestion, what is exactly is the function of the stomach? So we swallow our food, of course we must masticate it as I'd. First of all, you want to chew your food, it gets mixed up with the saliva, that starts the early process of digestion. This food passes down to what we call the esophagus, or that food pipe that gets everything inside the stomach. And so once it gets into the stomach, it's the stomach's job to do the breakdown or the digestion. The stomach is rich in what we call gastric acid. Different cells there produce this acid, okay, the parietal cells. And it mix and churns the food, break down a lot of the food content. Remember, most of our food has like fats in it, have proteins, have carbohydrate. And so it makes a puree. Think about when you use your blender and you're breaking all the food. So you're making like a puree. And once that is done, which takes around 3 to 4 hours, and depend on the content of what you eat and depend on how your stomach activity is, then the food starts emptying from the stomach through the small valve or opening that's called the pylorus, and it goes into the first part of the small intestine, and that is called the duodenum. And so different things happen once it empties out. The nutrients that we need, all the proteins and stuff, is absorbed, goes into the blood and goes to where it's needed. So the main function is that it stores the food, it helps break down the food, okay? And it empties the mixtures. So with all of the juices that are there, it breaks down the food.
So how long does digestion take? How long does it take to break down the food?
Well, the food, it depends on what you eat. It's not the same if you eat an apple as you have a prime sirloin steak. The food that you eat is going to make that important. So averagely, if you're a healthy individual, your digestive process takes around 3 to 4 hours. Then it can be then complicated if you have other conditions. You've got other health issues going on overall. Some persons who are diabetic, they tend prone to have a slower gastric activity. Certain medications you might take makes it different. So typically a 3 to 4 hour period you want to keep in mind.
Okay, what is GERD?
So we've spoken about that many times. Many times we've heard about this. We've heard of things like acid reflux. We heard about GERD, which is gastro, meaning the stomach, esophageal, meaning the food pipe, reflux, meaning to go backward. Instead of the normal forward progression, it is going backward. So that's where that reflux word comes in. So you want to keep that in mind. So that is what we call GERD. Oftentimes people will come into your office or to the emergency room, Doc, I have this heartburn or this burning sensation. What exactly is happening? The stomach walls are much thicker, and the stomach produces that gastric acid that is needed to break down the food. The lining of the esophagus, or that food pipe that communicates from the mouth to the stomach, that wall is much smoother, much delicate, much more delicate, and it doesn't handle the acid so easily. So when you have this so-called reflux, that gastric juice flows back up into the esophagus and cause all of that irritation that we may have from time to time, because the esophagus is very sensitive and it's not accustomed to have all that high gastric or acidic content exposure. So then you have all of these complaints where you talk about, you have this heartburn that we commonly know, you have this soreness, because what happens, sometimes the acid comes right back up and it irritates what? Your vocal cords, that larynx area. So commonly you hear persons say, Doc, I keep having this cough, this chronic cough, you keep having this discomfort, because that is the irritation from the acid. You feel like a lump in your throat and you have this chronic cough and all these other symptoms that occurs.
So how is GERD treated, doctor?
Well, we've got many ways of treating GERD. So it can be just an acute symptom, acute condition, where some persons have it from time to time based on the quantity that we eat. Because sometimes we go to a party or event and we overeat and we have that heartburn. So you can treat that oftentimes at home. But when it becomes so chronic, then it may need more of a medical intention, medical review. So initially you want to change your diet. So dietary changes are going to be the hallmark hallmark of this. You're going to always hear your doctor say, eliminate foods that are fatty, rich in fat. All the fried foods, these greasy foods that we tend to eat, the fries, the wedges, and those things. You want to eliminate or decrease things that are high in acid. The juices, the lemonades, the grapefruit juice, the orange juice, things like that. You want to decrease, tomato juices in all its form. Anything with tomato is going to irritate that. Chocolates, coffees, anything that contains caffeine, like your colas and stuff. You want to eliminate or decrease that until you get the condition under control. It doesn't mean necessarily it's going to be for a lifetime. But once you have a acute flare-up of this reflux disease, you want to make sure your diet is important. Another thing that you can do at home, you want to sit up after a meal. We talk about digestion being 3 to 4 hours. Sometime immediately after we'd have had a large meal, you want to go lie down.
Ethnic fatigue.
Yes. So you want to turn the TV on, you want to go and lie down and think. And what does that do? It's almost like a bottle. You have a bottle upright, right? And you have the liquid there settled down. But once you turn the bottle horizontal, the content starts going backwards. And if your stomach is full, there is a valve or an anatomic sphincter or closure from the esophagus into the stomach. But once a lot of pressure is there because of the large content or the large volume that you would eat, it pushes it past the sphincter and the content goes back into the esophagus. That we do not want. So you want to make sure that at least an hour after having a meal, you sit upright, okay? And you want to also cut back on the quantity of your meals, smaller, more frequent meals in that instant. And then we have drugs that you can get over the counter, some of these like Pepto-Bismol, any antacid drugs, and we've got things like, you've heard about the omeprazoles. These are called H2 blockers. Proton pump inhibitors like the omeprazole, quite a lot of them. Your doctor can recommend those, the lansoprazole, the pantoprazole, quite a few of these. And you've heard about the famotidine. They're Pepsid AC, some of these trademark names. So you can get these over the counter to kind of help with the symptoms.
Okay, so let's talk about indigestion. What is it?
Okay, so indigestion is nothing more than the pain or discomfort that you have after you've had a meal, okay? While your stomach is digesting the food, all right? It's like an impaired digestion. Something is going wrong. So you have the sensation that your stomach is not emptying as it should, okay? You have this upset and discomfort, a tummy ache. Some people would say almost all the time after eating, they have this discomfort there. All right. Sometimes you don't know what exactly caused that. It could be some of the foods that you're eating as well too, that you're not digesting well. Okay. Some persons who may be lactose intolerant, they have all of that discomfort after eating. So most of the time for something like that, you may feel bloated, you may have some burping, you may feel like you feel so full, even though you haven't eaten that much, and nauseated. Okay, so those are common things that you have. Of course, when you may want to eliminate or look at some of the food that cause this indigestion and try and eliminate these and try to have smaller meals, as we said, but more frequently to give the food time. And any kind of activity, we always encourage persons exercising. And if you're obese in that instant, you want to ensure that you lose some weight, because all of that excess abdominal fat could be pressing on your stomach, making it much more uncomfortable.
Okay. Yes, doctor. So what is gastroparesis?
Okay, so gastroparesis, I think we mentioned it earlier in the program. It's almost like paralysis. There's another word I want our audience to learn. Once you hear paresis, it means something is slowing down or affected in the nerve. Okay, so it's a functional condition, meaning there is nothing wrong with the shape or the structure of the stomach, but because the nerve that stimulate the muscles, something is wrong in that instant. And what happens, the stimulation is not coming as it should, so the muscles are paralyzed or they're not as active. So in that instant, that person could have a stomach that is well distended. They could always have that sensation of feeling full. Okay, feeling that sensation of bloating. And sometimes 4 or 5 hours later, they could vomit something they ate in the afternoon what they ate in the morning. So that means that content has been detained in the stomach for much more time than it should. Okay? Because of all this. Sometimes these gastroparesis is caused, one of the most common condition we know is diabetes. We often see our diabetic patients have these symptoms. Why is that? We know that diabetes, and we've spoken about it, affect the nerves. So it affects nerves anywhere, not just in your feet. It affects the nerves in your heart, leading to heart disease. So it affects the nerve in your stomach, giving what we call this gastroparesis. There's certain drugs that you take. If you have drugs like the opioids and stuff, pain relievers, it can slow that down. After surgery, it is a common thing for a patient at times to have gastroparesis where the stomach function is slowed down, but over time, the following days, it starts to rev up again and it returns to normal.
I have a little off the chart question. Can GPLs cause gastroparesis?
Yes, a lot of drugs can cause it. We have antidepressants as well can cause it. Okay. So yes, so these drugs, some of these drugs, a lot of times you don't even know the main cause. The cause of it is unknown as well too. But you can do, in certain places, you can do tests that stimulates the stomach and measures the motility of the stomach, and you can see that it is detained. But most times the cause is described as unknown, but there are certain drugs that that one takes, certain health condition. Sometimes if your thyroid isn't functioning well, that can lead to that. So you have that hypo or low thyroid activity, it can slow down everything.
Okay, so what are some of the symptoms of gastroparesis?
So we talk about those, the same sensations, like you have this bloating, you feel like you're always full, you have nausea, these persons can vomit, you can have some abdominal pain and discomfort. You just know that your tummy is not feeling well. And oftentimes it happens so long for some of these patients, like our diabetic patients, it becomes their norm almost, and they do not seek attention because they say, oh, well, my stomach always have this bloating or feeling really uncomfortable. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So what treatment is available for gastroparesis?
So what you want to do for these things, they're in certain their treatment, the idea is that you stimulate the contraction of the stomach, okay, to encourage emptying. There's certain drugs that we can use like that. You've heard of Maxolon. That's a common drug that person can use to help empty the stomach out. All right. Okay. But a lot of times you just want to manage some of the symptoms and the underlying condition that would have caused that. If you're diabetic, you want to make sure that your blood sugars are controlled. You want to exercise. Activity helps stimulate your gut. So when you go for a walk, that is important. It stimulates all of the muscles in the gastrointestinal tract that goes right from the stomach to your intestine. So that is important. If it is caused by some of the pain relievers that you're taking that has codeine and all opioids in there, you want to decrease or eliminate some of these drugs. There are certain conditions. If you have hypothyroidism, you want to make sure that your thyroid condition is controlled, things like that, okay? So you want to go to the root cause of it.
Okay. What is
gastritis?
Gastritis, yeah.
So we talk about gastritis. It comes under all of these stomach conditions that we often speak about. So there's an acute inflammation in us, in the stomach. So the stomach lining is irritated. It is swollen. It is a bit painful. So that is something that you can have there. So it's an inflammation. Most of the times now, because studies have shown that most of these infections or inflammation of the stomach is caused by a bacteria. Okay, and so what you want, and that can also lead to things like ulcers as well. So certain things that could worsen or create a gastritis, certain drugs that we take. A lot of these, what we call NSAIDs. Persons love to go to the pharmacy and ask for the Motrin and the Voltaren and the Naproxen, and then take them because they're having aches, you're having chronic knee pains or whatever, backache, and you take these medication, and then it creates a problem inside of the stomach. So a lot of these pain relievers. If you abuse alcoholic beverages, that can also create the inflammation in gastritis that we have as well too.
Okay, so Doctor, what are some of the symptoms that are associated with this?
And you're going to see me having this recurring thing. Most of the symptoms
Are
are
the
going to be the
same.
same.
Same,
Your
okay.
nausea, the upset stomach, you feel this pain that you have. Sometimes you start having this discomfort that makes you be afraid to eat because you're thinking if you eat, it creates some of this pain. Certain foods that you eat. So the person can have epigastric pain or pain in the stomach there. They can have things like nausea, vomit. They have that sensation of bloating. That is why these conditions are so common, because they're also so very similar in the symptoms that they produce.
I'm seeing something the older age, because sometimes you have the elderly taking like plenty pills. That's why they give them
Omeprazole.
Yeah, is that's supposed to help?
Yes, here's what happened, because this is a catch-20, because they need a lot of these drugs to control their chronic issues. Like, for example, you have a patient with heart disease. They have high blood pressure. They have diabetes. They have high cholesterol. And you see that quite often. So they have a number of conditions going. So then by the time you're done counting the drugs, it is 8 or 9 drugs. And these drugs themselves can irritate the stomach wall and create the same gastritis and some of these conditions. What we can do for some of these patients is try to curtail the amount of drugs if you want to at times. Sometimes a person is on 3 or 4 high blood pressure medication. If you can cut it down to 3 or 2 by increasing the dosage of one or the other, that is always better in terms of trying to manage this. But there's certain conditions, if you have heart failure, there are certain drugs you must take irrespective of. So these persons then have 8 drugs on board. How do we manage that? We try to give them stuff like antacid. We try to add the things like the omeprazole, which is a proton pump inhibitor, which decrease the acid secretion inside the stomach. Because most of these problems starts with the acid that is there, like the reflux disease, the gastritis, because that high expulsion of acid can create a problem in the stomach wall. Okay.
One more off the chat question. The older you get, your stomach produces more acid. Let's say you're 82. Does your stomach produce an excessive amount of acid?
No,
Okay.
no, that's not necessarily so at all.
Okay. All right.
I see here that it says that this could also be associated with other medical conditions, including HIV and AIDS, and the list.
Of course.
Disease, wow.
And lots of conditions like systemic conditions. We spoke about diabetes creating some of these conditions like gastroparesis or any systemic conditions. Added stress, added can add to some of these problems or worsen some of them that already exist as well too.
So we're going to go on to the next one. What is peptic ulcer disease?
So we have gastritis. We say that is the inflammation of the stomach. Peptic ulcer disease, what's that now? That is like an ulcer or a sore anywhere in the stomach or the duodenum. The duodenum, we said, is that first part of the small intestine, just once the food leaves the stomach. So what happens? You can have some erosion of the lining, the protective lining of the stomach, and you have a little sore. You would have seen people with a little ulcer or abrasion where the skin, the upper layer, is scraped off. And what happens? That acid gets exposed to that unprotected area. And that creates all the symptoms, all the pain, the discomfort. The main cause of this, way back then, we thought it was stress and things like that. But the main cause of developing an ulcer are these two. The H. pylori. We've spoken about that before. People on the street say, oh, I got tested. I was positive for H. pylori. So it's a bacteria. And a lot of these NSAIDs or these non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs that we use often for chronic pain. So these happen. They destroy the lining, the protective lining of the stomach. These also gets there. You have all this chronic pain, and the pain worsens. Some persons have things like bleeding. You vomit blood.
Wow.
You have these persons with black stool, we call that melena. So these are some of the symptoms. They have this burning, they have the pain associated when they, sometimes when they eat based on the timing and certain foods that they eat. Ultimately, these patients need to be studied, have an endoscopy. If the ulcer is there, you confirm it, you treat it. In the past, treatment for peptic ulcer disease was surgical. So everybody was having different surgeries, trying to eliminate the nerves that stimulates and stuff there, and resecting these ulcer, removing these ulcer. But we learned after that most of these ulcers are caused by the H. pylori. So then it became a medical, the management was medical. So then you'll see persons taking antibiotics for at least a period of 2 weeks. You have the proton pump inhibitor. So a lot of times we treat it with antibiotics, okay?
Okay. So who is more likely to get these ulcers?
So who's more likely to get these ulcers? People with underlying conditions, as you said, people who are immunocompromised. If you have HIV, if you're diabetic, you can be predisposed. Persons who often took as smokers, there are different factors that put you more at risk. If you abuse things like the alcoholic beverages, you can increase your risk of developing these ulcers. And ultimately, it's the bacteria that is there inside of the stomach that creates this ulceration or the NSAIDs. Those are still the two most common reasons. Your chronic drug use, like your NSAIDs, ibuprofen, we'll use that a lot. Things like the Voltaren, everybody want that little pink pill to help them with their ache because it does work. And so if you're not protecting yourself when you consume these drugs, it's always recommended that you eat them, you consume them with food. So you have decreased exposure to the stomach wall there of these. And even the aspirins too. So you remember now aspirin is now coated. Some of these drugs you try to make them coated so it doesn't create this problem.
I see something about family history. So if my family suffers from, someone in my family suffers from ulcer, I should be cautious that that might be my...
Yes, there may be some family or hereditary dispositions. Remember, most things and a lot of things come down to your genetics, right down to that too. But if your brother has it, doesn't necessarily mean that, because if you control your consumption, what you do, your lifestyle, you can decrease that opportunity.
So you could go into that further, doctor, as to the causes of the ulcers.
The causes of the ulcer, we said the cause of the ulcer ultimately in 90% of the cases is going to be the H. pylori bacteria. That's what's going to cause that, and the NSAIDs. Other contributing factors are going to be your alcohol consumption, your smoking, your dietary choices as well too. Because when you talk about ulcer and you want to eliminate it, you have your medical management, but you have your dietary management. And it all comes full circle. We've spoken about things that you want to avoid, your caffeine in those instances. Anything that is rich in caffeine, you want to eliminate or decrease high acidic content until you get it under control. I am not the person of absolute, because I've seen patients come to the office where they're thinking that, Doc, I can't have... like a piece of pizza ever again. No, that's not it. Until we get the condition under control. And what we do, we tend to do excessive. So if we can have a better balance, you can have everything, okay? But once in smaller portions.
So doctor, just quickly, could we get some of the symptoms and treatments for the ulcer?
So for the ulcer, the symptoms are going to be similar. This gnawing pain in your stomach area, this nausea, you're feeling this burning sensation or heartburn. So this pain doesn't go away, quite similar to a gastritis. You feel bloating and really uncomfortable. And some of the treatment is going to be your antimicrobials, like your antibiotics, because it's caused by the bacteria, the H. pylori. You want to avoid using these NSAIDs. So if you were taking a lot of these stuff, we try to tell our patients, you got to stop consuming them until we get the ulcer under control. Sometimes, as we say, it's a delicate balance. You've got chronic osteoarthritis, and only certain drugs can help you control the pain. You have to balance it out. But in the immediate instance, when you're dealing with an acute ulcer, you want to eliminate some of these things, make your dietary changes, because everything's going to come down to that, decrease your alcohol consumption or eliminate it for this period. Smoking, if you're smoking, you want to stop doing that, and your caffeinated drinks and spicy foods, you control those, but your antibiotics is going to be your baseline treatment, and your proton pump inhibitors. What are those? Anything that's going to decrease the acid secretion and your antacids. So there are lots of drugs on the market that does that. Usually you're going to get your antibiotics from your physician. Sometimes what we do, the diagnosis ultimately is going to be made if you do an endoscopy. So you put the camera down and you're looking for the ulcer crater, because it looks like a little crater there. So you look for your ulcer and then you put your definitive treatment to the patient. Some persons may choose to go ahead and treat in the patient empirically based on their symptoms and there being long-term symptoms. So you think this likely may be an ulcer, or if they do an H. pylori test and it comes back positive.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
So that's been a mouthful, huh?
Yeah.
Been
Big
quite a
mouthful. Jamsa, do we have any callers?
We have no callers.
Okay.
Well, I hope the audience was listening. So there are things that you want to keep in mind. Lots of these stomach conditions. We have our indigestion. We said we spoke about our peptic ulcer disease, our gastritis, our gastroparesis, and things like that. Those are a lot of the common symptoms. Everything we spoke about, as that, we always come back to a healthy living, healthy lifestyle, exercise, losing weight, watching our diet. Don't do anything in excess, like your consumption of alcoholic beverages. You got to know when enough is enough when you go out for a party, because these things can then give you acute gastritis associated with alcohol abuse. So you want to make sure that your exercise, you lose some weight, everything in moderation in terms of your eating. Most of your meals should be healthy. Okay, you want to have things like which soothes the stomach, your melons, watermelons, your bananas, instead of those acidic fruits and stuff. To help settle down your things. So diet helps, exercise, and just watch what you do.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thanks, Doc.
So I hope everybody have a beautiful day, and thanks for listening.
No problem.
Okay.
Enjoy
Bye-bye.
your day. I'm going to take a short break now.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Edinburgh Napier University, the #1 modern university in Scotland, is now recruiting for the September 2024 intake and is holding an information session at the Kuna Caribbean Conference Centre, located at the corner of Wilkins Street and St. Johnson Avenue, from 6:30 to 8 p.m. on August 27th. Edinburgh Napier University's programs, which include the AACSB accredited MBA and BA Business Top-Up for associate degree holders, are 100% online, 100% flexible, and 100% relevant. Reserve a place at www.seidegrees.com. That's www.seidegrees.com.
The CPL is back for 2024, and the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots are ready for the fight. This year, it will be the best ever CPL, with global superstars, massive sixes, and incredible entertainment at the biggest party in sport.
There are 5 games between August 31st and September 8th.
Get your tickets now at cplt20.com or at Warner Park. Turn it up and experience cricket played louder.
That's the familiar sound of the school bell ringing to let you know that class is in session. Listen up, class. Let your parents know that the place to shop for your back-to-school essentials is the TDC Home and Building Depot in St. Kitts and City Drugstore Nevis Limited. Get up to 30% off backpacks, notebooks, pens, pencils, school bundles, printers, and more. And while they're there, be sure to have them ask about the tech tools for teachers so we can help you achieve even more success. And remind them about Flash Sale Fridays, when you can receive even more savings just in time for the new school year. Now you know. See you at TDC Home and Building Depot and City Drugstore Nevis Limited. Class is now dismissed. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
Caution. You done already? Top of the morning. I got rum in my head. Party shell. Vibes again. Your money dead. Juve on the street. That be free. Water free. Get money. Top of the morning, John. Bring what and wave your hand. People that know the plan. Shell on the jam session. Empress is on the scene. Don't you just think of me. For top of the 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 morning. For top of the 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 morning. So we go jump up in the morning, wake up in the morning, drink up, cause everybody mash up in the morning. Jump up in the morning, wake up in the morning, drink up, cause everybody mash up in the morning. Wake up in the morning, grab on my mind, get to my head, time to unwind. My eyes are red, I'm having my juice. It's only 11 o'clock, and I really am tuned for top of the morning jam. Bring what and wave your hand, people that know the plan. Shell down the jam session, Empress is on the scene. Caution don't sleep on me, ready my beats on me. 3 a.m. on the scene. For top of the 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 morning. For top of the 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 morning. So we go jump up in the morning, wake up in the morning, drink up, cause everybody mash up in the morning. Jump up in the morning, wake up in the morning, drink up, cause everybody mash up in the morning. This the battle of the band, the battle of the juice. If I never find the way your body suit, yeah, Johnny Walker, Stolly Vodka, ice in my cup, no, we don't want no chaser. Top of the morning jam, bring what and wave your hand, people that know the plan. Shell down the jam session, Empress is on the scene. Caution don't sleep on me, ready my beats on me. 3 a.m. on the scene. For top of the 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 morning. For top of the 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 morning. So we go jump up in the morning, wake up in the morning, drink up, cause everybody mash up in the morning. Jump up in the morning, wake up in the morning, drink up, cause everybody mash up in the morning. Top of the 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 morning. For top of the 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 morning. So we go jump up in the morning, wake up in the morning, drink up, cause everybody mash up in the morning. Jump up in the morning, wake up. Caution, Empress, you done already. Top of the morning, I got rum in my head, party shell, vibes again, your money there, Juve on the street, that be free. Water free, get money. Top of the morning jam, bring what and wave your hand. People that know the plan. Shell down the jam session, Empress is on the scene. Caution don't sleep on me, ready my beats on me. 3 a.m. on the scene. For top of the 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 morning. For top of the 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 morning. So we go jump up in the morning, wake up in the morning, drink up, cause everybody mash up in the morning. Jump up in the morning, wake up in the morning, drink up, cause everybody mash up in the morning. Wake up in the morning, grab on my mind, get to my head, time to unwind. My eyes are red, I'm having my juice. It's only 11 o'clock, and I really am tuned for top of the morning jam. Bring what and wave your hand, people that know the plan. Shell down the jam session, Empress is on the scene. Caution don't sleep on me, ready my beats on me. 3 a.m. on the scene. For top of the 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 morning. For top of the 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 morning. So we go jump up in the morning, wake up in the morning, drink up, cause everybody mash up in the morning. Jump up in the morning, wake up in the morning, drink up, cause everybody mash up in the morning. This the battle of the band, the battle of the juice. If I never find the way your body suit, yeah, Johnny Walker, Stolly Vodka, ice in my cup, no, we don't want no chaser. Top of the morning jam, bring what and wave your hand, people that know the plan. Shell down the jam session, Empress is on the scene. Caution don't sleep on me, ready my beats on me. 3 a.m. on the scene. For top of the top of the top of the top of the.
Well, top of the morning to everyone. That's Caution Band out of Antigua. I think they're holding now the second place position for Roadmap.
Oh, they didn't win?
No.
The song sounds
no.
really good.
So,
Like
yeah,
it wakes
good
you
song,
up,
right?
like
Yeah,
top of the morning.
Yeah.
I just seem to get my jig on over here.
They had a nice Christmas album. They sent me this nice. It came out in December. Really nice album. Yeah, Christmas.
Oh.
But then
I thought when we hear Caution, they're from Nevis. I thought they were from a neighbor.
Antigua.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I forgot the name of the band. I haven't downloaded it yet. It was sent aside to my email. I haven't. The band that won. What do they call again? I can't remember. I forgot the name. Yeah.
No, I can't tell you anything. Only one band I know from Antigua, and that's Burning Flames. I can't tell you anything else about the bands in Antigua.
So you never used to go out and so on?
No, it was a homebody, and my off days were spent at home here. Once I'm off, I'm home. Unless it's like a single day off and I had some business or some laundry to do. Yeah. Other than that, no.
So we're going to be hooking up with a representative from the DLP in Barbados. But in the meantime, I'm not going to be calling him now. But in the meantime, what's it like in Antigua compared to St. Kitts? Living, spending long hours.
We have better roads, first off the bat. What else? Antigua, I never thought of it that deep because I hardly stayed there. But the food, the food is quite different because what I was accustomed to, as they call something pepper pot in Antigua. In Guyana, pepper pot is this meat stew, right? Their pepper pot is, what is it called? Spinach with okra and varying meats do down, and then I think it's chop up. Is it chop up they call it? See, I never ate most of it. I ate the cassie once to try it, cassie as they say, because they do the cassie with the dukana and the saltfish. You get there on Good Friday, but I lived in a fairly quiet upscale neighborhood in Antigua, Hodges Bay. So I enjoyed living there because I had a view of the sea. It was fairly quiet. The most you heard was the dogs barking because the houses are so far apart. The Prime Minister lived just around the corner from me because he moved into the neighborhood eventually. He didn't live there before. So yeah, living in Antigua was okay. I just didn't partake in the fetes, and I could never tell you I went to a blue jeans, a white... I can't even remember the name of the fetes. You see, I've never partook in anything. I watched one carnival. My mom, she came over one time and we went downtown to watch a carnival. That was it. But I didn't partake in anything in Antigua much.
So I have Stefan here. Speaking of fetes, they just finished theirs in Barbados, crop over and all that. Stefan Newton, he is from the Democratic Labour Party. Stefan, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning.
I'm doing well, and you?
I'm doing good.
You're doing good, thanks.
Azad had to leave for court, so it falls to us to talk. Your party has been in the news for a situation where the leader was
ousted
and
the general
so on.
secretary, the president and general secretary.
Yes, it has been.
Yeah,
so a very low period for the Democratic Labour Party.
So tell us a little, just on background. Tell us who you are, and then tell us what's been going on with the party and what led to this impasse.
My name is Stefan Newton, and I am the Assistant Secretary of the Young Democrats, which is the youth arm of the Democratic Labour Party. The party has been experiencing turmoil for about 2 years. The most recent aggravated action was the purported expulsion of Dr. Ronnie Yearwood, the president of the Democratic Labour Party, and Mr. Stephen Blackett, the general secretary of the Democratic Labour Party. And this was conducted by a biased and unfair disciplinary tribunal made up of persons who, for the last 2 years, have spent their time attacking Dr. Yearwood and Mr. Stephen Blackett in the most vitriolic of manner, including a former past president of the Democratic Labour Party, Ms. Verla de Pisa. And it is woeful and regrettable because this person is an attorney at law and should know better that this kind of dispensation of justice is in breach of the rules of natural justice and clearly biased, as in founding the case of Porter and McGill. And the tribunal had no authority. It was improperly constituted. It is illegal, and also stemming right back from the suspension of Dr. Yearwood and Mr. Stephen Blackett earlier this year, it was illegal because if you read the Democratic Labour Party constitution, you will see that the General Council, the body which purported to expel the two individuals, has no power to conduct disciplinary proceedings. Again, the General Council that suspended the two individuals was also comprised of persons who had personal and petty jealousies and differences with Dr. Yearwood and Mr. Blackett, and not professional differences. And that is what is really most disappointing about this situation as a young person to observe. Because you would think persons who comprise the General Council of former senators and MPs would rise above such childish behavior and display the level of behavior that would have been expected of persons who are former members of the House of Assembly of Barbados.
Oh, wow. I see that he was expelled first before he was basically sent packing. That's my best way of putting it at this point. With the expulsion, what were they investigating and looking for reasons before they let the leader and the general secretary go?
Can you repeat the question? I couldn't hear you very well.
Okay, he was expelled initially, right?
He was suspended initially.
Yeah, suspended and then expelled. Yeah, so I mixed it up. So during the suspension, was there an investigation to look for findings so that they can expel him eventually, or that led to his expulsion?
There were investigations, but again conducted by persons who were biased against Dr. Yearwood. And if you read the charges and what they were found, it's just frivolity and vexatiousness about failure to restrain a person from making remarks about Dr. Yearwood failing to restrain Mr. Blackett from making remarks about the political leader. And it was a genuine criticism of the political leader, Mr. Ralph Thorne, since his entry into the party in February. The party has been incomplete. He's caused a lot of problems and rancor. Any objective person in Barbados, everyone who's watching the situation knows that. So I cannot see why to state the truth would lead to lead persons to conduct a witch hunt against the persons. I mean, many persons have done far worse in the Democratic Labour Party. That it was injurious to the party. I've never been expelled. I want to say for the last 2 years, there's been a faction of this party that has protested outside of the headquarters, disrupted general annual, the Errol Barrow lecture, where they were visiting dignitaries from the Bahamas, and no one sought to expel those persons. There have been physical altercations and provocations by persons in the Democratic Labour Party, and Mr. Stephen Blackett and Dr. Ronnie Yearwood said, no, our business will be handled internally. We're not going to the police. We're not taking any extreme measures. We will continue to talk and to resolve our differences in a diplomatic fashion. And that's not unusual because opposition parties often go through a period of internal wranglings. Unusual, some sort of power struggle. But what is concerned is that this power struggle has been settled twice. Dr. Ronnie Yearwood has been elected twice within the George Street Democratic Labour Party internal elections, and by large margins. So the question is settled. And also the same persons that are causing this problem are entitled individuals, are acting very spoiled. These persons were rejected twice by the public in Barbados, 30-0, the worst election defeats ever suffered by the Democratic Labour Party. Twice.
Let me
and
ask
then
you,
rejected several times in George Street internal elections, and still continue to try to foist themselves into the Democratic Labour Party and on persons who don't want them. Why are they here? I do not know.
Okay, Stefan, I have a question for you. Now, I know the DLP won no seats at the last election, correct?
Yes, that is true.
I never found out what was the arrangement made by the Prime Minister to facilitate some kind of oppositional representation in the House.
There was never any arrangement made by the Prime Minister Motley, to facilitate any opposition representation in the House from the Democratic Labour Party. What happened was that one individual crossed the floor in 2018, Mr. George Bathory and became the leader of the opposition. And what happened in February was that Mr. Ralph Thorne, King's Counsel, crossed the floor and became opposition leader and then applied for membership to the Democratic Labour Party.
I see.
But there was no constitutional arrangement to have a Democratic Labour
Okay,
Party.
because the reason I asked,
Parliament.
I remember at the time Mia hadn't made a comment. I remember a news item saying, well, she was looking at options in terms of, trying to facilitate having opposition, despite the fact that none was elected. The other question is, some might say that things are. I mean, you guys, things must be hunky dory in Barbados because you guys seem to have. I mean, with all this internal turmoil, I mean, surely there are matters that Barbadians would want you to be spending your time doing. Could you catalog some of the things that you that probably you would prefer the party to be concentrating on? As far as yes, go ahead.
Well, the party most definitely, instead of all of this internal turmoil, should be concentrating on the people of Barbados and their issues, the high cost of living, the state of our roads, the state of our healthcare system, the crisis in our education system, and the crisis plaguing young people with the rise of angst and the turn to crime and violence and the spate of gang-related killings in Barbados. There are many issues that the people of Barbados need to hear the Democratic Labour Party speak about and propose solutions to. And that is what we were doing under the leadership of Dr. Ronnie Yearwood and Stephen Blackett. There was a well-assembled shadow cabinet. There were issues being spoken about on opposition parliament show called the People's House. Every week we examined a different issue, and we tried to respond to the government. We did respond to the government outside of Parliament on any bill that was being debated before the House.
Now, Barbados recently acceded to republicanism. I never really got a grasp of whether the DLP was on board with that. Is that something? Is that something you guys are on board with? The fact that Barbados is now a republic.
That we are, then I care the word that we're involved in.
No, is it something that you guys have a committee on in term with the Barbados Labour Party as far as being a republic? Yes.
The idea of republicanism has been floated around Barbados for a very long time. Prime Minister Owen Arthur spoke about it, and I remember being at a political meeting held in St. George, where Prime Minister Frondell Stewart announced that he would make Barbados a republic, and it did not happen. It happened under Prime Minister Motley. Was the process the best way to do it? I don't think so. I don't think it was widely consultative enough. I think it was not fully ventilated. I don't think enough persons had their chance to express the form of government and the structure and the rearrangement. The new constitution has not been enacted yet, and we've not seen, there has been a constitutional committee arranged, but it's not come out yet.
Okay. In case you're just joining us, Stefan Newton, he is a representative of the Young Democrats, DLP, the Democratic Labour Party out of Barbados. One other question. You referenced the crime situation in Barbados, and as you probably know, we have
almost up here.
Antigua, St. Kitts.
Anguilla.
Would you care to catalog some of the solutions you might propose, Barbados and for the Caribbean, that might help with the crime situation and the gang situations we all face?
Oh, this is a massive topic, but crime is related to lack of young people getting involved in crime. And the way I see it is that persons are joining gangs and getting into crime because there's lack of opportunity. A person's life must have a sense of meaning and purpose and fulfillment, and where opportunities are not provided, the organizational structure and hierarchy of gangs and the reward system that accompanies that and the behavior is, for some young people, fulfilling and gives them a sense of purpose. It's filling a vacuum that should not be taking place. Other solutions we have to look at: where are these guns coming from? How are they getting here? How are they being financed? Where are the holes that they're penetrating our borders? And the average person doesn't have money to buy large amounts of guns and drugs and bring it into the country. What are the trafficking routes? I think we need to coordinate with a lot of international agencies to seriously look at how that is getting here. Looking at extremism and terrorism is another thing. But then also looking within the moral decay and the social structure of society, teaching young people how to settle their conflict in a civilized way. And, now that I'm led there about settling conflict, this is why I'm so deeply, deeply disappointed in the behavior of Mr. Ralph Thorne in this situation. Mr. Ralph Thorne is a Queen's Counsel, but he seems to have a problem working within organizational structures. Ralph Thorne was within the Democratic Labour Party in the 1990s and had an issue working with David Thompson. And then he moved to the Barbados Labour Party and had an issue working with Prime Minister Motley in 2024. And came back to the Democratic Labour Party, barged his way in basically, and immediately had problems working with Dr. Ronnie Yearwood and Steve Blackett. This shows a pattern of behavior of a person who has difficulties working within organizational structures and seems to have a mere quest for self-serving interests and a quest for power. And right now, honestly, with that against that background of conflict that is brewing in Barbados, and we need to be able to settle our conflicts, the people of Christchurch South, or any constituency for that matter, must carefully weigh the character and judgment of Ralph Thorne in deciding whether to support him in the next general election. Because a member of the House of Assembly has to be held to a higher standard and must be able to work within a framework to cooperate with their parliamentary colleagues and to set an example to young people on conflict resolution, and to see the party descend and explode because of his behavior, his unwillingness to come to meetings, to sit at the table with Dr. Yearwood and Mr. Blackett and others who have been reached time and time again to say, let us settle our differences. It is a reflection of where the society is headed. And I want to finally add this. We're on a slippery slope, because I was on the show before speaking about Haiti and the breakdown of law and order in Haiti. And Haiti has gone through cycles and cycles of political turmoil. That doesn't start overnight, It starts in a moment of time. And what is done within an opposition party transcends into government. Those are persons who form the government. And if this is the behavior that is taking place right now, this is just the moment in time. And, there's that old saying, a stitch in time saves nine. It has the membership of the Democratic Labour Party must absolutely come out and fix this situation, demand that it is resolved in a civilized manner and mature manner before we begin moving in the wrong direction, not in this party, but in the country. And let me tell you, the government, comprised of the Barbados Labour Party, is very, very concerned because they see a cornerstone of democracy in Barbados, the Democratic Labour Party, that something has gone awry.
Why was he allowed to, James, sorry, why was Mr. Thorne allowed to come back into the party with the track record that you just laid out?
And also, I'm getting the impression that is Mr. Thorne seen as a Trojan horse slash double agent?
As he pleases. He pleases and he comes back.
Yeah, because this is a very unusual situation where because no representatives from the DLP were elected, someone had to cross the floor. That seems to be like the nucleus of the problem. So is he seen as a double agent and or Trojan horse?
No, he's not. He's not a double agent or Trojan horse. He's a weaponization used for the men in the Democratic Labour Party whose time has expired and whose characters are cannot be rehabilitated for the public of Barbados on the ballot sheet. And he's their instrument and being used by them and also being stroked by them to take control of the Democratic Labour Party so these persons can make their way back on the ballot sheet for the Democratic Labour Party and somehow think that they can walk back into the House of Assembly and resume the behavior that the public of Barbados rejected in 2018 resoundingly.
Let me ask you this question. On becoming a republic, you said that I know they've been working on a new constitution. You said it hasn't been rolled out yet. What would your party or you prefer be the provision for a situation where no there was no opposition elected, so that you could avoid this kind of situation in the future? What would you guys have preferred? What would you prefer? What's best for the nation?
I'm speaking in a personal capacity. I'm taking off the Democratic Labour Party hat. I would prefer a system where we look at a party that has secured some form of popular vote and ensuring that if it reaches where the party does not win in seats, but over 30,000 persons voted for the Democratic Labour Party, that there's a mechanism to allow a representative to be sent to Parliament, whether in the Senate or the lower house, to provide the opposition voice for the Democratic Labour Party. But this is a long constitutional aspiration, but the vote must reach a certain threshold, because to say that would have to open the door and give the opportunity to any political party that secures some votes to have the similar structure. So there must be a vote threshold to allow the person to enter the House of Assembly.
But wouldn't you say that even if a party doesn't reach the voter threshold, I mean, surely you don't want the tyranny of the majority, right?
No, you don't. It's the checks and balances. That's the flaw in the Westminster system. We never envisioned this situation. And the Westminster system, it operates as a pendulum, swinging back and forth. We saw it with the Conservatives in the United Kingdom having majority control, and then the decimation that just followed recently in the last election, where the Labour secured a resounding victory. It always is a push and pull. But the situation has occurred in Grenada, and after 2 election cycles, there was a change in government. I hope that the persons of Barbados will realize that that opposition voices and their opposition is a part of democracy, not just a one-sided arrangement, and that we'll be able to overcome the situation. But yes, it's a very unusual situation to be in.
Okay. Stefan Newton, it was great. The Barbados Democratic Labour Party, and I hope you'll come join us sometime again. We'll be calling on you from time to time. I have your number in my phone now, so you're in trouble.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
I'm happy to be on your program.
Okay, great, and I hope you guys get that situation resolved in the best way possible.
Yeah, and Stefan is sounding like a good future leader for the DLP. So keep up the good work.
Okay, think he's gone. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's take that was pretty interesting. And it's funny. At one point, I asked a question, and I had the out of question, and he kind of answered when he segued when I asked about the crime solution, and he used conflict to segue into the situation between Yarwood and Thorne and everybody. So I thought that was interesting.
Come back. He keeps crossing the floor and he's able to come back. Why do they take him back though? Either party. Since he's so troublesome.
It's very strange.
Let him go be his Queen Council self.
It's very strange. Let's take this call before we take the break. Caller, go right ahead.
Hello, caller.
Good morning.
Hey.
Island T.
Hey,
good morning, Jamdang. How are you?
Well, I don't even realize that you all back on radio, To the worthless people, they may want to do what they're supposed to do.
Oh, come on. That's uncalled for. That's uncalled for. That's uncalled for. Yeah.
And
Catencio.
Hey, Jam down.
Azar left, right?
Yes.
We want to congratulate Azar and his leader and his party for a bold move. But the PAM people, them drop the ball. Support our party. Let me get this thing clean up, because when my leader, the right honorable Timothy Harris, say hit the road, Jamna will be there. Because this kind of living ain't good for thinkers.
No.
And we're going to stamp out this. If you know the job bigger than you, go, leave us alone. Where you're bad too far. I can't to culture. I can't to Joseph Hill. Man, stop bother us. Just leave the man. You get a chance and you can't step up to the plate. Leave. It's easy to do. I'm Catencio.
Hi.
We still have a big problem down at the Cardin home,
Oh, boy. Hasn't sorted itself yet.
Girl, you're going to come and see me, man. Let me take a visit.
I'll tell you as soon as I get the time, Jam down. I'm so busy.
To get me some pampers for inmates down there.
Oh, wow.
And they bring them. And, you know, I want to know if it's so government must treat people who contribute to this country. And they do it in a big way, bigger than you and them. And they feel like the money belongs to them. So you become Billy Lynch. So none for you, some for you. None for you, some for you. Them things ain't gonna work, you know. And I'm warning them, you know. I'm warning them that we ain't gonna go too far with this stupidness, you know. Because just where you see happening around, as the lead up to the party in Barbados said, this thing like wildfire. And if you don't control your turf, you're going in, you know.
Yep.
You see where they try to be young man? You see where they try to do A1?
Yep.
This is the problem. Now I understand. I see Azar to talk to him as yet. Then the PAM party, the leader, and the executive try to work the government several occasions, and then I didn't hear us. There's something that make I hear, you know. Something that make I want to hear us. Have a good day, Island T. This is Jam Down.
All right, Jam down. Have a good one.
Okay, let's take a quick break. It's 9:40. And come back and did you get to look at those things I sent you yesterday?
No. My
Okay.
day
Busy.
is just
Busy girl.
You know,
huh?
you know the thing. You know the thing.
Yeah, I know the thing.
Yeah.
Coming right back.
Found the sound 98.9 Win FM.
Buster, roll it up, need the thirst quencher in my cup. If you have one, hold it up and say, Buster for the colors in my life. Refreshing and nice, and I drink that what we like. Buster, you're full of vibes, living for the color. I know black and white, we do what we like. We live to enjoy life. Buster, pour it up, different flavor. Load it up. If you have one, hold it up and say, Buster for the colors in my life.
Rams the good food people, always there to serve you. Rams the good food people, locations right near you. Rams the good food people, in-store specials for you. Rams the good food people. Rams. When you need better service, Rams is always here. Better value, better prices. Rams is always here. You wanting your loyalty, Rams is always here. We are community. We are family. We are family. Rams for you and me. We are community. Rams for you and me.
And we are back.
So what's on your mind? Remember, all my topics are on the phone. This is why we need to.
Oh
See?
yeah, right, yeah. the
People like
phone.
to say, I like to
phone.
write, but I write for a reason. Because you see, if I wrote, I have my notes, but I depend on keeping them on a device that I tend to forget.
Okay, so I thought that was interesting.
But he said we need more programs. And we need to create more avenues when it comes to curbing the violence in our countries.
Yeah, but
But you saw what Mr. Brown said?
Mr. Brown?
Mr. Gaston Brown, Prime Minister.
Yes.
He said once they're going to behave like that, you don't put them in a juvenile center, you send them straight to jail.
Okay. I feel like sometimes when, you have this kind of, I don't know, we have this kind of reactivity to these things that often doesn't really lead anywhere, because what happens is it's a matter of them just throwing money at the problem. It's like, okay, someone gets killed. Oh, let's buy 6 more vehicles and you know what I mean? Because, I heard Gaston talking about getting the police more vehicles, and they just hired 150 cops, 75 of them are already on the beat. So we have this continuing cycle of a kind of ineffective reactivity, where every time something happens, they have to be seen to be doing something, even if the something isn't really effective, and the something doesn't go to the root of the problem. So, we're gonna put up more cameras, and we just bought 10 more vehicles, and we just hired 150.
So you don't think these things were in the works, but they have to expedite them because of the frequency of the crime happening?
It's a complex question. It's just that I wish that we would stop doing things. The definition of crazy.
Yeah.
Doing okay. So
on impulse.
So every time somebody gets found, you find someone cut up on the beach, or you're gonna go buy 10 vehicles. How does that solve the problem?
Yeah. So we do things on impulse.
That doesn't go to the root of the problem.
Okay.
That looks good, and for people who get dazzled by pretty things and fancy vehicles.
Antigua too is having the same problem with the armed robberies, and in broad daylight as well. Like they're going into establishments and.
I was more talking about Antigua, but it applies to us too.
Yeah.
Caller, go right ahead.
Yes. Do you all plan in the near future, in all fairness, to give the other person a time to defend themselves on your program?
But Greg, we have to allow other persons to call, so we can't give one caller the whole. But we do allow you to defend yourselves, Greg. But sometimes.
No, I'm not talking about me. Do you all plan the person who was spoken of so negatively, the politician who was spoken of so negatively?
But who said
in Barbados?
Are you talking about Mr. Thorne and so on? And
you see the man crossing the floor so steady, and you say he's spoken about negatively? What when somebody's wishy-washy and from side to side, I don't think that's negatively. The gentleman is from the
to give the person a chance
if he wants to come and defend himself, of course.
I mean, Gregory makes a fair point. Gregory makes a fair point.
I understand that, but still,
that's
the
not a
man's
bad
back.
idea.
As I said, if he wants to, we're gonna allow him.
It's not a bad idea. Gregory.
So you want us to give Trump a chance too? No, we're not gonna.
No. Hold on. You all said there are 2 sides or 3 sides.
So a story,
an incident. Okay. You all contacted this guy from Barbados.
He's a friend of Azad, so that made it easy. So to your point, you make a fair point. Maybe we should try and reach Mr. Thorne. He makes a good point.
Fair. It's all fair.
But we never said we weren't going to allow him to come, though, Greg. We said if he wants to come.
No, not alone. Y'all contacted this one. Y'all brought him on. Okay?
So we're to contact Mr. Thorne.
Right. Do the same thing for the other guys.
Okay.
It's fair. It's only fair.
Okay. We are going to get the other side of the story.
It could be interesting, because I would like to hear what he has to say about the situation where he had to call. He was part of the DLP, ended up going over to
Go
the
over
BLP and then coming back
leaving
over
again.
to the...
But you heard what the guy said. He seems like he cannot work with
Yeah.
people because he's always had a
Like
problem.
CNN and MSNBC and that sort of that only get one side.
So you
Be about that.
you want us to be like Fox
He has
that
a
only
good-
have one
he
side?
makes a good point.
Same thing.
He
All
makes
of
a
them
good
is
point.
the same thing.
Okay.
All
Actually,
of them is the same thing.
this is a good
Don't be
time.
like them. Do not be like them.
Fair enough, Gregory, actually. We're going to look into that. Actually, I'm glad Gregory brought up that because it reminded me of something I wanted to talk about that I noticed last night. Now, last night I was watching... it didn't have my 100% attention, maybe 80% because I was doing something else.
The
But
same thing I was talking about earlier. The same.
the convention.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, there's one thing I noticed that would not fly here, and it just shows how much evolving we have to do as far as our political culture. Let me give an example. Now, CNN, they have rules in the States. They have fear. What's it called? Well, basically, because CNN covered the Republican convention, they would have to cover the Democratic convention. But what happens is they add sponsors per se. CNN has advertising, so whoever wants to advertise during that period when they're covering the convention for the week, they get to run their ads. And what I noticed, which I don't think would ever happen here, is CNN was playing playing Republican ads going after Kamala Harris, and I thought, yeah,
her Democratic broadcast.
yes,
Okay.
and I remember I remember smiling at one point because I was like thinking, boy,
They gotta make their money.
yeah, they have to make their money. And it just shows how much evolving we have to do. And I was thinking, boy, that would never fly here.
Oh, so we would never advertise something
Unless,
for Pam on a label
unless,
broadcast.
because usually how it works here is when they have these things, they pay for the time. But let's say, for example, when FM was making a lot of money, where we have a lot of advertising, and we have let's say we had the leeway to say, well, I think we should go and cover that. Nothing to do with the party. We just say, well, okay, I think we should go and cover this political function because we think people are interested or whatever. And we just take commercial breaks, strategic points. And let's say it's a Labour Party thing that we're covering. And Pam came and decided, PLP or CCM decided they want to come and we want to run some ads in between. And maybe the ads turn out to be they're going after Labour. That's fair game. They're paying for their ads, but I'm just thinking that would have people up in arms here because of how we think. Maybe I'm wrong. Someone call me and tell me if I'm wrong, but that was something I noticed last night. Caller, go right ahead.
Yeah. Good morning, Jamson Potentia.
Hey, what's
Good
up?
morning. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm listening to you all morning, you know.
Hey,
I
what's
gotta
up?
get in. Let me go with Jam Down.
Okay.
I want to commend the leaders of the PAM party for stepping out, taking a bold step and protest, demonstrate against the way our country is running. Because it is not supposed to be running so. You hear what Jam say? Jam Down say?
Yep.
He never know that WINNFM is back on the ear. Right in the heart of town. And all because of the problem up at Atlas level. The government making enough money from selling passport that they could afford to fix the road that is up to Atlas level that people can hear WINNFM all around the island. And let that man they stop take the money and go complain every minute. And as soon as anything happens serious, when the commander-in-chief supposed to be here at the head, here and here, he run gone. Run gone don't want to face responsibility. If he know he can't handle the work, why you sign for it for? Why swearing and say that he will do the work according to what they do say when they must swear in. So help me God, help our God. And he running from it. But you see, when they join us certain things up at Taylor's range, where they got to put down the ring and the finger, certain things have to happen. And when it happens, they want to stand up here to face it. So I want to commend the people for PAM step out, and other organizations need to step out too.
Okay.
And I'm calling on the Chamber of Commerce and all them churches who are locking in the doors, afraid to preach from the pulpit about the wrong things what people condone in this country. All the preaching, a lot of them preaching.
Okay, Culture, I have another call. Hurry up.
Yeah, okay, it's money
Oh
in
boy,
the
they
bank.
hung up.
Thank you very much.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Culture.
okay, here we go. Caller, go right ahead.
Yeah, good morning, Jamster.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Cleo.
You was talking about the commercial being played during the convention. I called to tell you that
Yeah.
would never happen in Thinkies.
I know,
You
I know.
You can't even get the opposition to go on ZIZ radio station.
That's why I tell you we have a lot of maturing to do, you know.
The opposition cannot even go on the national radio
But why is that though,
station.
Cleo? Why is that?
Well, boy, only they alone can answer it, you know.
Okay. Wow.
Because the national radio station and the opposition can't go on it. So can you imagine what they do up here, down there? It would never happen. We're not mature like that.
Hopefully one day we get there.
I just want to say kudos to you and to the leader. And my thing is, where was the mothers that hold their belly and their head and cry and bawl? They should have been in the street. As a matter of fact, it don't matter what party you support, you should have been in the street because there's too much blood being spilled over in the street. The ground is crying out again. Do y'all feel that dark cloud hovering over the country again? It's coming back over the country, you know. The last time I think it had such a heavy feeling over it. And that heaviness is easily creeping back over the country. I prayed the last time I bruised many a prayer.
Oh, boy.
Lord God, have mercy upon us. Y'all have a good day, you hear?
You too.
You too, Cleo.
Say hi to your husband for us as well.
Okay. Yeah, say hi to the poet.
Yes.
Yeah, so so someone here, someone a comment, Mathro Condope says, Stefan Newton, thanks for balance. I think he did a good presentation, and I think he did something that the politicians here don't seem to get. Then you know how they talk forever, and you can't even get in a word edgewise. Like you ask him a question,
But you don't get the answer.
You don't get the answer, but they never stop talking until you have to, you know.
Yeah.
And he had, yeah, I have to say, call or go right ahead.
Hi, good morning, John.
Hi, what's
good
up?
Morning, Carter.
Good morning.
Now, Jam say you used a word there a while ago, make me laugh. You said maturity. All reason why I laugh is what Cartentia says earlier. She said, if Trump calling you, I wouldn't give him the opportunity to talk. Right? Now, it come back to exactly what you just said. I think it is not mature enough politically to have conversation with different political parties. That's the problem we have in Stinkers. Have a good day.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yo, if Trump calling for real though, Trump wouldn't allow
Trump
us
is
to
a different
talk,
case,
and then Trump would just fight us off like he did that last reporter. And no,
He's a different case. We would fight. Me and him would fight. Well, you know,
exactly.
verbally,
He gonna fight us
because no.
Yeah, he's not gonna. He too. He doesn't answer anything. He's just unbelievably big. He just used this.
I mean,
cannot. Trump. Trump will fight with us like nobody business. First, he's gonna say, "I heard you guys don't like me, but it's not really me to be likable. But you know, I like myself, and I'm really yeah." Trump's not gonna fight with us.
The dialogue writes itself because you know what he's gonna say.
Exactly. And you gravely attack me and you don't even know me. You gravely, or
bigly. Yes, bigly. You see, we talked about that at the same time.
Exactly. No, he's not going to work with us. The interview is not going to be long at all.
Too funny.
Not going to be long at all. We have another caller?
Yeah, here we go.
Caller, good morning. You're live on Island T.
Yeah, I only call back to remind my friend in Connecticut from Connery that when Sam Kanda was the deputy prime minister, he could not go on the national radio station ZZ to make a speech. He was barred from it by somebody who nobody voted for.
Ooh.
That's all I call it to remind you. Maybe she forget.
Oh, wow.
Thank you very much.
So can somebody that's in power be barred from a government radio station? Wow.
Well, I remember there was the incident with, I think it was Sam, which I thought was...
Yeah, that's what I guess Culture just spoke of.
That was shameful.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That
Can
was
someone in power be...
I couldn't believe...
But
when that happened, that was like...
The whole part that it is national and that is only one person has the chance to use it. As they say, yeah, we have a lot of maturing to do.
because
it's national. Everybody should have a chance to go on and say what they have to say.
You've heard Mark and Denzel and everybody talk about, the media being, the government media being... And it never happens.
But it's national.
I don't know
Everybody
what
should have a chance to do what they have to. People shouldn't have to find ways and means to get their
I don't know what they're scared of.
Yeah. At the end of the day, if you're confident in yourself, a little competition shouldn't hurt nobody because we all compete for something daily.
I mean, there's just some baseline stuff for democracy that we shouldn't be scared of in 2020.
Exactly. And we're not a dictatorship type situation. Caller, good morning.
Yeah, morning. It's me again. Tell Culture I did not forget that. But you see, Sam got a taste of his own medicine. He got a taste of what Pat was going through for years. He was a part of the oppression.
Oh.
So he just felt what the others used to get. So in his case, oh well. You know how the others had felt. You have a good day.
Yeah. Cleo said, oh well.
Oh, here, have another caller. Caller, go right ahead.
Okay, we lost that caller. You can always...
So we have to try and get Mr. Thorne, Gregory Really's batting sixes. Gregory's batting bounces this morning. Caller, go right ahead. You're a final call.
If Kamala Biden were to call him, would you all entertain him?
Well, of course.
Okay, thank you.
Gregory just willful. I'm going down in the dialect now. Gregory, you're willful bad.
But I mean,
Gregory don't know how we president gonna come in no jamster. He knows. Gregory, come on, Gregory. These people are gonna talk sense. Your president isn't.
Gregory will be first at the airport to greet Trump.
Jeez.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
Listen, his glorification of. Listen, Jesus is really going to get that, Gregory, He is going to get you, Gregory. Oh, my gosh.
Caller, go ahead. Final call. Go ahead.
Yeah, just one more thing. When Trump wins the election, they're going to have him call you out.
Okay, he can call. He can call, but he's not going to win. Listen, he has some serious supporters, but no, he's not going to win. I'm sorry.
No, he can't win.
No, he's lost.
Especially after what I saw. I mean, we already knew, but after I saw, I was like, okay, wow.
Yeah. He lost bigly. He's really going to need somebody to cheat for him.
No way.
Let me use his word. Somebody has to bigly cheat for him because he's not going to win.
Gregory's going to be in tears.
I know. And they ought to call her.
And that caller
oh, boy.
She's too funny.
Oh, boy.
Y'all can't be serious.
They both are. Very true.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, we hope you have a great day. For all our listeners, for those of you that call, we're grateful. Thank you for your contribution as always. And same place, same time tomorrow.
And for the Agent Orange supporters, have the day that you deserve.
Yeah.
Out of here.
Tea time, calling night, noon and morning. Tasty biscuit just